Greetings. It is Sunday, November 16th. I don't even know when the last update was, but since then, I'm pretty sure because I had sent Reese and Brett last Sunday, late Sunday, a very, very, very rough cut so they could watch it. And I thought, silly me, I thought, wow, they'd be so excited. They'd probably watch it that night when they got it or the next morning or, sometime Monday. And so I'm just sitting here watching my phone for my text to say, hey, we watched it and, it's good or bad or whatever. I know they would have notes, obviously, but I didn't hear anything for like 2 days. And so I texted them and said, oh, just confirm you got the email with a link because I don't know how often you check your email. And they said they did. So I don't know when it was, Wednesday, maybe. Brett had watched a little of it. He had a few notes. Um, and then maybe two more installments Friday and into yesterday. And then he said, I'm going to finish it, but I won't give you any more notes until Reese watches the whole thing. And then we can just sort of talk about it. So, and hopefully Reese will watch it today. And I don't know when we're going to talk. And when we do talk, I'll obviously make I wonder if I would be brave enough. That would be interesting if I did a Zoom call and I recorded it and made that a blog. I don't know if I want to give away. I mean, if you've seen the long Zoom reading, you obviously know the story more or less. There's been some little odds and ends, but at this point, I don't know if I would record that because I would record it for later. I don't know that I'd release it quite yet, but anyway, so Brett, who typically gives mostly not really negative notes, but just like here are the problems, which is what you want in notes. So he hasn't really had much good to say. And you could take that as well. Anything he didn't comment on, he liked, which I don't know if it's true or not. But there were some, technical things, some sound things, some in the last batch, I guess the ones he gave yesterday, he found what is not a huge continuity issue, but is fairly huge. It is a costume or a outfit, wardrobe change, whatever. Not really in two consecutive scenes where you assume it's, almost continuous, and then you see a guy and he is dressed differently or she's dressed differently. I don't want to give it away because maybe we'll figure it. Well, we can't really fix it. That's the thing. So that wasn't great. He had some comments on performances. He had comments on some sound, which I've fixed or sort of fixed some of the sound. We have a scene where four people are walking and we did mic them with a wireless lav and hit it so you can't see it obviously. And the audio wasn't great. It was okay. Obviously it picked up his voice, but it picked up all the sounds of walking in nature, which was good because it sounds real, which it is. But the fidelity of the voice wasn't great. So I had him do a quick ADR before he left, and he just recited the whole thing listening to it. And it came out pretty good. I had to do some cutting to make it match exactly like words. But the main thing is the ambiance of the sound is obviously not the same because even though we recorded it outside, I had the microphone close to him as we walk, so you don't get the illusion that he's walking closer. So I'm working with that, and I've got another scene similar to that I'm working with, and I think they're better. I mean, they're not horrible. They're better. They still could be even better. So those were some things. There's some pacing questions he had, one of which I know about and I agree with. The other one, I need to. I've looked at and I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do with that. And then just a minor things about, hey, we should stand this shot longer or whatever. So not super extensive notes, but good notes and notes that we'll certainly going to review when we all get together, whenever that is, after Reese watches it. So what I've been doing in the meantime is I did go through and clean up a few things. Oh, there were some reflections in a glass, not a glass, but a window, screen door with glass on it that we didn't notice or I didn't notice. So I figured out how to fix that. And another reflection, I pretty much figured out how to fix that. I'm trying to do some very minor compositing, putting things on walls where they aren't really. There's one of those that's going to be kind of a problem, which I think I've mentioned. So I'm doing that. I've been watching a ton of color correcting, color grading tutorials on DaVinci Resolve, and everyone has got a slightly different workflow. And some of them are super complicated. Some of them, oh, just use 3 nodes, only use this, or never do this, or try to do that. So somewhere in the process of that, I must have changed some settings because suddenly all of the footage, which was shot in B RAW, which is Blackmagic RAW, which you want to do, and it makes everything kind of look washed out and very, very low contrast. And I must have changed some system settings. I think you can change it, basically use the camera data somehow, and it just like pop, and it suddenly turned out to have pretty much the full rich colors, which, I mean, it's good. It's not what we ultimately want it to look like, but it gives you a much better idea of what it will look like with sort of a basic brightness, contrast, exposure, blah, 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 curves and stuff. And then, so just for fun, DaVinci comes with a number of film look, film grain, film this, and LUTs and stuff like that. So I put one in that's just kind of the standard one, and then you can tweak it. There's 20 or 30 different settings you can tweak. So I put that in, and the very first shot that I put it on, it just looked amazing. It was like, wow, that was shot on film or close to it. So I've been going through, and I applied that just to get a better sense of what we're going to work with. And obviously we're a million miles away from having it finished. But so I did that a lot of yesterday, thinking more about music, sound, that sort of thing. And I guess that was it. I didn't spend, well, I probably spent several hours. At some point I was thinking I need to, I don't know why, calculate all the hours and figure out if I was, being paid to do this, or if I hired someone who was an editor or a sound editor or a color corrector person. Obviously that person would be way better than I am. But just to get an idea of, are we spending, quote, spending, 5,000 in post-production, 10,000, 1,000, whatever, just so I will know for future reference. But so just waiting to hear from them. You never like to hear, and then I looked at the continuity thing. And I'm like, wow, I literally never saw that because I've just been working with individual scenes. And so now when you put them together and you see, oh, geez. So that's not great, but what are you going to do? Learn and live and learn. So that's it for today. Ooh, next one will probably be after I talk with them and get some notes. We talk about next steps. And I guess one more thing. I was thinking about the poster, kind of a slogan for the poster, not a log line, just like a 10-word slogan or however many words. And I'm thinking of visuals. I also am starting to think of what I want a trailer to look like. If we want a teaser and then a trailer. So it's always fun, but it's sort of daunting because I'm one to give away as little as possible. And I'm not sure how we're going to approach that, but it'll be fun. It'll be lots of fun. I hope your movie, the one that you're making right now, even as we speak, is coming along well, and that your vlog is just as entertaining as mine. Probably not too hard. Haha. Wink, wink. See ya.